Joining me from Capitol Hill, Congressman Tom Price, Republican from Georgia and a member of the Financial Services Committee. Good to see you, sir. As you heard, Mike Vaquero reporting just now, we're hearing Republicans, they're softening their tone on financial reform. We just heard Mike talk about Senator Shelby sounding optimistic on all of this. Where do you stand?
Well, I think we all appreciate that there are some changes that need to be put in place. In fact, from the House Republican standpoint, we put positive reforms on the table way back last July because we believe that the bailout mentality, the bailout culture has to end. We don't see that happening in the President's bill or in Senator Dodd's bill. We think that the issues of Fannie and Freddie, the entities that by and large got us into the mess that we're in right now, aren't addressed at all, and we think they need to be addressed. And then we think that it's important for the regulatory scheme not to be expanded, but to be refined and be made more flexible and nimble so that it actually works, that people are actually minding the store, which is what failed last time.
And Congressman, let me ask you about a New York Times column that Gail Collins wrote. This is her take on the shift by Republicans. I know you talked just now about Republicans having a year ago been already on this, but she says, quote, the Republican leadership originally seemed to believe that financial reform could be a replay of health care reform with a political payoff for total obstruction. They're discovering that the only real similarity is that both are almost impossible to explain. People love their doctors, but they tend to hate their bankers. Nobody's going to scare voters by predicting that if the Democratic bill passes, they may not be able to keep seeing the same hedge fund manager. Does she have a point, sir?
Well, I think the point that ought to be made is that there's not a reservoir of trust out there across this land in either this administration or certainly this Congress. So they see a stimulus bill that's been passed with no jobs created, in fact, jobs lost, a health care bill that's passed that they don't believe is going to address the specific problem, and now we're looking at a financial reform bill, which is actually a bailout protection bill out of the administration and the Democrats in Congress, as opposed to one that truly solves the problem. And that's the important take-home message, that there are positive solutions to this. H.R. 3310 is the bill that we put on the table, as I mentioned, that makes it so that there are no more bailouts. The American people are tired of bailouts. They don't want any more bailouts, and we ought to put in place a law that makes it so that the government isn't protecting financial institutions.
All right, Congressman Tom Price, Republican from Georgia. A pleasure to have you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.